Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi pitches the state of Assam as a semiconductor hub, says the only thing certain in an uncertain world is India's rapid growth. India makes a quantum leap in transportation, develops its first Hyperloop test track that can touch speeds of up to 1,000 kilometers per hour. The Maha Kumbh, the largest spiritual gathering on the planet, to draw to a close on Wednesday. More than 600 million people take part in it. And Bangladesh Army Chief warns compatriots that the country's sovereignty would be at stake if they do not forget their differences and work together. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 at Guwahati on Tuesday. The summit aims to attract more investments as it becomes a crucial hub for semiconductor manufacturing in India. The Prime Minister said that the only thing certain in an uncertain world is India's rapid growth.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 in Guwahati on Tuesday. The Chief Minister of the northeastern state of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, felicitated Prime Minister Modi. Addressing the summit, the Prime Minister said that the northeastern states will have an important role in making India a developed nation by 2047.
2047 तक भारत को विकसित भारत बनाने में पूर्वी भारत की भूमिका बहुत बड़ी होने वाली है। आज पूर्वोत्तर और पूर्वी भारत इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, लॉजिस्टिक्स, एग्रीकल्चर, टूरिज्म और इंडस्ट्री में तेज रफ्तार से आगे बढ़ रहा है। वो दिन दूर नहीं जब दुनिया भारत की डेवलपमेंट जर्नी में इस क्षेत्र को सबसे आगे बढ़ते हुए देखेगा।
He said that Assam was rapidly emerging in sectors such as electronics, semiconductors, and green energy. The Indian company Tata has opened a semiconductor assembly and test facility in Jagir Road town in Assam. Assam has set a target of becoming a $150 billion economy by 2030. More than 50% of India's onshore natural gas production comes from Assam. Assam is ramping up its infrastructure by adding 4 new bridges over the Brahmaputra River in the next 10 years. Until 2014, flights operated only on 7 routes, but today there are flights on nearly 30 routes.
सरकार देश के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर भी बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रही है। इंस्टीट्यूशनल रिफॉर्म, इंडस्ट्री, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और इनोवेशन का यही कॉम्बिनेशन भारत की प्रगति का आधार है।
A number of business leaders from around the world are taking part in the 2-day event. The summit aims to foster innovation and sustainable development in the state. Global trade partnerships and manufacturing would come in for special focus. More than 240 exhibitors are taking part in it. Bureau Report, DD India.
And India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Tuesday attended the thematic session Act East, Act Fast and Act First at the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment Summit in Guwahati. The minister says that in the last decade, all the northeastern states have seen how Prime Minister Modi's government acted fast and acted first when it came to their development.
Assam and all the northeastern states have seen the Modi government act fast and act first when it came to their development. Its evidence is in the nature of resources committed, the targeting of goals through specific initiatives, the quality of delivery, and indeed the very change in outlook.
Now, India's journey towards becoming a developed nation is firmly rooted in the development of its states. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the vision of a Viksit Bharat or developed India is not just about policies but also about fostering healthy competition among the states. By empowering the states to attract investment, the government is paving the way for economic prosperity across the nation. Take a look at how Prime Minister Modi's focus on cooperative federalism is shaping the future of India's states.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Viksit Bharat or a developed India is only possible with the strong participation of states, which is why he has been emphasizing healthy competition among states and has formally implemented the policy of cooperative federalism. Believing that the development of states leads to development of the nation, Prime Minister Modi encourages states to attract maximum investment and provides the right guidance for it. A reflection of this can be seen at the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit in Guwahati. The summit focuses on the state's industrial development, global trade partnerships, rapidly growing industries, and a vibrant MSME sector.
हम मेक इन इंडिया के तहत लो कॉस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं। फार्मास्यूटिकल्स, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, ऑटोमोबाइल, हमारी इंडस्ट्री ना सिर्फ डोमेस्टिक डिमांड्स को पूरा कर रही है बल्कि इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सेलेंस के नए बेंचमार्क बना रही है।
Earlier in 2018, PM Modi participated in the Global Investors Summit held in Guwahati, where he stated that the Northeast is at the core of the central government's Act East policy. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi attended the Global Investors Summit held in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. He stated that with its strong talent pool and thriving industries, Madhya Pradesh is becoming a preferred business destination.
यही समय है, सही समय है आपके लिए एमपी में इन्वेस्टमेंट करने और इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ाने का भी यही सही समय है।
PM Modi had also participated in the Global Investors Summit in Madhya Pradesh in 2014, which was attended by the country's top industrialists. Representatives from 6 partner countries also took part in the event. Earlier this year in January, PM Modi inaugurated Utkarsh Odisha Make in Odisha conclave in Bhubaneswar. During the 2-day business summit organized by the Odisha government, 145 MOUs for proposed investment to the tune of 12.89 lakh crore rupees were signed, which are expected to create 8.94 lakh jobs. PM Modi has emphasized identifying strengths of each state and attracting investment in those areas. In December last year, he participated in the Rising Rajasthan Global Investment Summit, where he said that by following the mantra of reform, perform, transform, India has achieved growth in every sector. PM Modi started the tradition of setting new benchmarks for development by promoting entrepreneurship during his tenure as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Even the Vibrant Gujarat initiative was launched at his behest. Last year in January, he inaugurated the 10th summit, which focused on green energy and global partnerships. World leaders and CEOs participated in the event. Later that year, in September, PM Modi also inaugurated the 4th Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo, Reinvest. Earlier, PM Modi contributed to strengthening Gujarat's investment environment in 2015, 2017, 2019, 2021 and 2022. In 2021 and 2022, he participated in the event virtually. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, he highlighted the factors that helped promote Gujarat's economic policies. PM Modi has also ensured that the hill states of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh do not lag behind in national development. He participated in investor summits in Dehradun in 2018 and 2023 and in Dharamshala in 2019. During these events, he mentioned that India has improved its ease of doing business ranking. The government is making decisions after fully understanding the ground-level needs of industries, PM Modi said. Focusing on the development of southern states, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated Karnataka's Global Investors Meet Invest via video conferencing in 2022. He then discussed the global optimism towards India. Uttar Pradesh, the Indian state with largest population, had lagged behind on several development indicators under previous governments. However, after the formation of a BJP government, PM Modi participated in investment summits held in 2018 and 2023, which resulted in significant investments in the state. He emphasized that Uttar Pradesh is known for its rich cultural heritage, glorious history, and prosperous legacy. Due to PM Modi's efforts, a competitive environment has emerged among states, leading many to set a target of achieving a $1 trillion economy. The investment-friendly atmosphere has also created numerous job opportunities, symbolizing prosperity for the common people. Bureau Report, DD India.
Right, moving on, the US sided twice with Russia in the UN vote marking the third anniversary of the Ukraine conflict. Now, this highlighted the drastically changed position of the Trump government on the Ukraine-Russia conflict. The Kremlin called it Washington, D.C.'s balanced position. It praised the U.S. for its stand. Meanwhile, after meeting Trump in Washington, D.C., France's President Emmanuel Macron said that a peace deal must not become a surrender by Ukraine, but instead it should be backed by security guarantees. Raghav Kumar Jha has more.
On the third anniversary of Russia-Ukraine conflict, United Nations witnessed a seismic shift in international diplomacy. First, the US opposed a European-drafted resolution condemning Moscow's actions and supporting Ukraine's territorial integrity. It voted along with Russia, Israel, North Korea, Sudan, Belarus, Hungary, and 11 other states with 65 abstentions, whereas 93 UNGA members backed the resolution. Then, the United States drafted and voted for a resolution at the UN Security Council which called for an end to the conflict without criticizing the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Security Council passed the resolution, which received 10 votes in favor, while France, Britain, Denmark, Greece, and Slovenia abstained. America's acting envoy to the United Nations described the US resolution as a simple historic statement that looks forward, not backwards.
It is a first step, but a crucial one of which we should all be proud. Now we must use it to build a peaceful future for Ukraine, Russia, and the international community.
However, US President Donald Trump's approach to mediation has left Ukraine and European allies wary of his focus on Russia instead of Ukraine. Britain's UN ambassador, Barbara Woodward, told the Council that the terms of peace in Ukraine matter and must send a message that aggression does not pay.
And the terms of the peace must send a message that aggression does not pay. This is why there can be no equivalence between Russia and Ukraine in how this Council refers to this war.
Early on Monday, the UNGA also passed a US-drafted resolution, but only after it was amended to include language supporting Ukraine, which led to the US abstaining from the process. The Kremlin on Tuesday praised Washington's balanced position after the US voted with Russia to avoid condemnation of Moscow's campaign against Ukraine. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron held talks with US President Donald Trump in the White House. Macron said any peace deal must not be a surrender of Ukraine and it should be backed by security guarantees, while Trump insisted on a ceasefire without any delay.
We want peace. That peace cannot mean capitulation by Ukraine. That peace cannot be a ceasefire with no guarantees. That peace must include the conditions for Ukrainian sovereignty.
a really horrible one, a war, something that we haven't seen since the Second World War, that is ravaging European soil, the deadliest and most destructive conflict. It's time to end this bloodletting and restore peace, and I think we're going to do it. We've had some great conversations, including with Russia.
Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Monday that while Europe's involvement in Ukraine peace talks will be necessary, Moscow first wants to establish trust with Washington. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin extended an economic offer to the US, proposing joint exploration of rare earth minerals, including from Russian-occupied territories of Ukraine. Raghav Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
The European Union has said that it considers India a key partner in ensuring peace in Ukraine. It said that India should play a role in providing security guarantees to Ukraine. A senior EU official said on Tuesday that during European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen's visit to New Delhi this week, she will discuss these issues with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The official said that while the EU considers India as a strategic partner, both India and the EU want to incorporate new strategic agendas in light of the evolving global scenario, particularly in trade and security. The official further said that India and the EU share a common stance on China's aggressive behavior and want to discuss ways to strengthen their approach on this matter. President von der Leyen will reach New Delhi on a two-day visit on 27th February. Her meeting with Prime Minister Modi is scheduled for the 28th. She'll be accompanied by a delegation that includes 21 EU ministers. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Taiwan detains a China-linked cargo ship after undersea cable was disconnected. South Korea court hears closing statements in President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial. And the UK to raise defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Maha Kumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The IIT Madras has unveiled India's first Hyperloop test track. Hyperloop is a high-speed transportation system that aims to transport a pod through a low-pressure tube at a speed of more than 1,000 kilometers per hour. India's Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said that a third grant of $1 million will be given to IIT Madras for this project. Fuzail Ahmed reports.
The Indian Institute of Technology, or IIT Madras, one of India's premier engineering institutions, unveiled India's first Hyperloop test track spanning 422 meters. India's Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav applauded the team who worked on the project.
This first pod of 422 meters, first tube, this will really go a long way in developing the technologies. I think time has come when, after the first two grants of $1 million each, the third grant of $1 million will be given to IIT Madras for further developing the Hyperloop project in a nice way.
The Global Hyperloop Competition 2025 was Asia's first international Hyperloop competition, aiming to position India at the heart of Hyperloop innovation.
This project is funded by Railways. We had close to $2.2 million that was invested currently, and now Honorable Minister has announced another $1 million. And then a lot of private industries, including L&T, ArcelorMittal, all of them have come forward and given their infrastructure support in terms of we need a lot of steel, we need a lot of construction and stuff like that. So with all these things, this 422-meter track has come up, and it was Asia's first global Hyperloop competition has happened.
So here's a quick explainer on Hyperloop transportation system. Hyperloop is the fifth mode of transportation, a high-speed train that travels in a near-vacuum tube. The transportation concept was developed by Elon Musk in 2013. The original Hyperloop system was conceptualized by Swiss professor Marcel Juffer in the 1970s. Some of its key features are Hyperloop pods can reach up to 1200 km per hour with an operational speed of around 360 km per hour. It operates within a vacuum-sealed environment, minimizing resistance and energy consumption. It provides direct point-to-point travel without intermediate stops. Hyperloops have the potential to reduce the cost of shipping goods over long distances. If you compare Hyperloops with high-speed rails include bullet and maglev trains. These are currently the fastest rail systems in the world. Hyperloop would be much faster, reaching speeds of up to 700 miles per hour. It is also said to be less expensive to build and travel. There are going to be no stops during a trip in a Hyperloop. The event at IIT Madras, held from the 21st to the 25th of this month, brought together 10 Hyperloop teams. For Zaid Ahmed's report for DD India.
Bangladesh Army Chief General Waqar-uz-Zaman has expressed concerns over the nation's stability, attributing the worsening law and order to internal conflicts. Meanwhile, Information Advisor Nahid Islam resigned from the government to enter politics.
Bangladesh has been struggling to stem a surge in violent crime since the uprising toppled former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina last year. In the latest development, the nation's army chief blamed infighting for deteriorating law and order situation in the country. Army Chief General Waqar-uz-Zaman warned that the gains of the students-led revolution that toppled the government were at risk. In a statement, General Waqar-uz-Zaman said, and I quote, "If you cannot move beyond your differences and continue meddling and fighting among yourselves, the independence and integrity of the country will be at risk." Bangladesh has been split by a surge of crime as well as protests this month, where crowds smashed buildings connected to the Sheikh Hasina's family. Last week, rival student factions clashed at university campuses, in which several students were injured. Army chief accepted the situation and said the anarchy in the nation is itself inflicted. General Zama called for collective efforts to address the challenges posed by internal divisions and to safeguard the nation's future. Army General Zama took charge of army after Sheikh Hasina resigned from the post and fled to India last year. Army Chief Zama said he wants to take leave after placing Bangladesh into a decent position.
Unless and until they give up the divide amongst themselves, unless and until they stop fighting amongst themselves, the country's democracy and people's freedom will be in great danger. I have no other ambition. I just want the country to be at a comfortable position. Then the army wants to retire in the barracks.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday, Nahid Islam, the information advisor to interim Yunus government, resigned from the cabinet on to join politics. He was one of the key student leaders who led the movement to oust former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. This month, Bangladesh security forces launched Operation Devil Hunt and arrested over 8,000 people who were accused of being Hasina's loyalists. The army chief's remarks highlighted the critical need for nations' cohesion in Bangladesh. His call for unity underscores the importance of overcoming internal conflict to ensure the country's continued development and stability. With Aman Kumar Himanshu's report, Syed Afzarul Hassan for DD India.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced that he will boost defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027, ahead of a high-stakes visit to the US for for talks with Donald Trump. The UK spent 2.3% of GDP on defence in 2023 and 24.
I can announce this government will begin the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the end of the Cold War. We will deliver our commitment to spend 2.5% of GDP on defence, but we will bring it forward so that we reach that level in 2027. And we will maintain that for the rest of this Parliament.
The South Korean Constitutional Court has concluded the final hearing on the impeachment proceedings of the ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol on Tuesday. Remaining defiant, Yoon continues to justify his decision to impose martial law. 8 judges will now decide on the parliamentary vote that removed him from office. Sarita Chaudhary reports.
South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol appeared for his 11th and final hearing at the Constitutional Court on Tuesday. The hearing comes after his controversial and short-lived imposition of the martial law on December 3 last year. Remaining defiant and unapologetic in his closing remarks, Yoon denied having committed insurrection. He claimed that South Korea was facing an existential crisis when he declared martial law last year. Currently, Yoon is being held at the Seoul Detention Center after his arrest in a separate criminal case where he faces charges of leading an insurrection. The former prosecutor has made history as the first sitting South Korean president to face a criminal trial. If Yoon is officially removed from office, South Korea will be required to hold a new presidential election within 60 days. Yoon's political fate now rests in the hand of 8 judges who will decide behind closed doors whether to uphold the parliamentary vote that led to his impeachment. Experts predict the verdict will be delivered by mid-March. Bureau Report, DD India.
And in more news from the Indo-Pacific, Taiwan's Coast Guard detained a China-linked cargo ship on Tuesday following the disconnection of an undersea cable near the Pengshu Islands in the Taiwan Strait. The ship, named Hongtai 58, registered in the West African nation of Togo and crewed by Chinese personnel, was anchored near the cable when it got severed, raising suspicions of Beijing's involvement in grey zone warfare against Taiwan. In response, Taiwan's Navy and other agencies have intensified their efforts to safeguard undersea communication cables, which are critical for maintaining the island's global connectivity. A message from Elon Musk asserting that the US government employees will be given a second chance to respond to his ultimatum that they justify their jobs or risk termination is likely to spark another round of confusion across the US government on Tuesday. Musk's warning on X, the social media site he owns, came after Trump government officials told US government workers that they did not have to respond to his weekend email asking them to summarize their accomplishments of the past week. Failure to reply would be considered a resignation, Musk had claimed. Meanwhile, US government workers on Monday filed a lawsuit against Musk for violating the law with his weekend demand that employees explain their accomplishments or risk being fired. The updated lawsuit, which was filed in a California court, is trying to block mass layoffs pursued by Musk and Trump. It called the threat of mass firings one of the most massive employment frauds in US history. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. An expert take on what makes Indian state of Assam an attractive destination for foreign direct investments. Former Indian lawmaker Sajjan Kumar gets life imprisonment in an anti-Sikh riots case. And India's Defence Minister presides over Coast Guard investiture ceremony in New Delhi. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi pitches the state of Assam as a semiconductor hub, says the only thing certain in an uncertain world is India's rapid growth. India makes a quantum leap in transportation, develops its first Hyperloop test track that can touch speeds of up to 1,000 kilometers per hour. The Maha Kumbh, the largest spiritual gathering on the planet, to draw to a close on Wednesday. More than 600 million people take part in it. And Bangladesh Army Chief warns compatriots that the country's sovereignty would be at stake if they do not forget the differences and work together. All right, going back to the top story, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday inaugurated the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 at Guwahati on Tuesday. He pitched the state of Assam as a semiconductor hub. He said that the only thing certain in an uncertain world is India's rapid growth. Joining us is economist Dr. Amit Kapoor. Dr. Kapoor, welcome to DD India NewsHour. Now, first, straight off the bat, the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 in Guwahati is generating a lot of buzz. What are India's and Assam's inherent strengths that, in your opinion, make it an attractive investment destination?
So, like you were asking a very important question from an India perspective. If you really look at India, one is that it has been the growth driver for the world per se. If you really look at the world today, there are three countries which are driving the growth effectively: US, China, and India. And India has been is the biggest, brightest spot that is actually there. So close to about 7% is what we are growing at. And even if we look at the anticipation for the future, it is going to be close to about 6.7 to 7% for this year as well. But if you really break down India to say the fundamental states that we are in, we have to understand the Northeast region and specifically Assam per se. When you talk about the Northeast region, it accounts for close to about 8% of India's geographic area, close to about 3.8% of India's population. And then 12% of the tribal population of our country resides within that place itself. But what is going to happen for the future? The future is that if you really look at the base level effect in terms of, say, the total GDP that comes from Northeastern region is close to about 3% of India's GDP. So the potential that this state offers is exceptional for a simple reason: the positives that lie within the state. These are one of the states, like if you talk about Assam, which is close to about 1.25 to 1.3% of the GDP of the country. The driver for growth from Assam is going to be tremendous. And when I say tremendous, for a simple reason, the opportunities that lie within that state itself, from agriculture, from technology to tourism, are the kind of things that will happen within that state itself. But when the Prime Minister says that it can be the semiconductor hub, I fundamentally agree with it. But the challenge is going to be that how do we create that ecosystem in that state? If we are able to create that ecosystem, Assam provides the right earnest location to be the driver for the country as well, from a semiconductor perspective and technology perspective. And let's not forget, Assam and the Northeastern region specifically is one of the youngest states that the country actually has. So it would be the Northeastern region is going to be becoming old when you talk about the aging population that India might have and the depletion of the demographic dividend over the years. It would actually be the last in terms of really getting there after UP. So if you really look at the positives are huge within that state. And if you are able to exploit the opportunity there from training to skilling, the driver for growth is going to happen. The question here is going to be that how big they can be. At this point in time, they're close to about $40 billion in terms of Assam to $60 billion in terms of GDP. The options or the opportunities are absolutely tremendous.
Right.
And Assam has been growing at a much more scorching rate than the way India has been growing. If India is growing at 7%, Assam is growing much faster than that. So it becomes one of those key drivers. The only challenge for Assam is that it has a small base effect. So the moment it goes to a certain level, say about $500 billion, it will suddenly skyrocket. And that will happen somewhere between 2035 when it starts skyrocketing towards the growth, being a growth engine within the country itself.
Dr. Kapoor, for the benefit of viewers watching this broadcast, what can you tell us about the Indian government's industrial policy insofar as the Northeast is concerned?
So, there are some very specific things that the government is doing. Like there are 2 or 3 programs that the government runs. There is a very specific ministry, which is called DONA, the Department of Northeastern Region, which spends close to about 10% of our budget in driving infrastructure investment in that location, the social progress in that location. And there is a clear, definite understanding that when you talk about Northeastern region, it is not about economic growth, it is also about social growth and social progress. And the government is fundamentally investing in those set of areas. And when you talk about industrial policy itself, there are sectors to which the government is creating those incentives. It is creating a driver in terms of saying that come and invest, and there are going to be support systems that are going to actually happen. So there is this whole of government approach and the thing that we really talk about, and it is seriously seen in action. In fact, the biggest beauty of Northeastern region is it is not only about Assam itself, it is about the 7 sisters that are coming together to really create the driver. And all those 7 sisters can be looked at in tandem. If Assam grows, the effect, or what you might want to call it as a side effect, and a positive side effect is that the regions across, or the other 6 and 7 states around that, are going to drive a lot of growth itself. And industrial policy is supporting. Today, you are actually incentivized to come there and invest in industry. And specifically, if you talk about the sectors which have been doing well, or which are the sectors which can take forward. Like if you talk about Nagaland itself, fishing and fisheries, it is doing very well. Local education, it does very well. When you talk about states like Assam, medical devices, it is doing very well. Incidentally, the highest paid people in Assam are from either upstream chemical products, medical devices, production technology, local financial services. So what you're seeing is that they're the highest set of paid people, and it is already in a innovation-driven category of employees which are driving it. So we are going to see that whole benefit accruing over a period of time.
What you say, Dr. Kapoor, gives me a perfect segue to my next question to you. Speaking about political economy, New Delhi's Act East policy is anchored in India's Northeast. The Northeast is a veritable gateway to the ASEAN. What is India doing to position the Northeast in general and Assam in particular as a player to reckon with in innovation and digital economy?
Like the digital economy, I would rather say that there is a concrete idea what India needs to do. The whole UPI thing and the benefits that have accrued and that have actually happened in Assam as well. But the bigger thing is going to be in terms of like how Northeast can become a segue to the world. If you only talk about movement of goods, the movement of goods that can actually happen from that region is tremendous. If you talk about exports or imports, talk about Myanmar, talk about Bangladesh, talk about the other set of countries that you can actually go from there. It is a tremendous opportunity to create that movement that is required. Because fundamentally, when you talk about productivity and growth of a country, it is always going to be about driven by exports, driven by movement of goods. And that is what the government is actually doing. And that Look East policy is clearly an idea that India, being a very smartly positioned from a geographical point of view, the whole belt, this ASEAN belt, can actually be activated or exploited from those set of opportunities. Incidentally, the bigger thing that we are not even talked about during this conversation is that Northeast also brings in that whole huge tourism opportunity from the Northeast itself, or from the eastern set of countries, because the fundamental cultural beliefs of Northeast are also very much in sync with what happens within the ASEAN region.
Absolutely. And finally, Dr. Kapoor, we've spoken about policies and priorities. What should India do differently, in your estimation, to encourage foreign investors to venture into the Northeast in a big way?
I think we are doing quite a lot of it. But there are 2 things that I would just say if I have to do more on it. Invest in infrastructure a little more and at a faster pace. The connectivity needs to be hastened. Because if you really look at it, there are certain states within that region which become very difficult to get to. It takes a long time to get there. If you are able to hasten that process, it will just fundamentally alter the way we are talking about doing business there. Otherwise, then the question is about fundamentally, again, pushing forward with 2 things, and that is healthcare, which they do very, very well. Incidentally, from a social progress point of view, northeastern states do better than a lot of other states in the country. So the social development of that region is very, very high. And so once we get it right from education and healthcare perspective, it would really drive or create a multiplier effect. Today, if you really look at it, like some of the smartest universities are actually there in that region itself, Sikkim, Assam, and there are some great universities as well. So when you have that talent which is available locally, you are really saying that that talent is going to drive innovation, creativity, and that is what is going to be happening within that set of region.
Absolutely. On that note, Dr. Kapoor, thank you for joining us and breaking it down for our viewers who are watching this broadcast at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. All right, moving on, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh awarded Coast Guard personnel at the 18th investiture ceremony held in New Delhi on Tuesday. A total of 32 medals, 6 for distinguished service, 11 for gallantry and 15 for meritorious service were given away. Citing a 26% increase in the budget for the Coast Guard this year, Minister Singh said the government has approved the purchase of 14 fast patrol vessels, 6 air cushion vessels, 22 interceptor boats and 6 next-generation offshore patrol vessels for the modernization of the Coast Guard fleet.
भारत सरकार इंडियन कोस्ट गार्ड की कार्यक्षमता को बढ़ाने के लिए पूरी तरह से कमिटेड है। प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में कोस्ट गार्ड को फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2025-26 के लिए 9,676 करोड़ रुपए का आवंटन किया गया है, जो पिछले वर्ष के बजट की तुलना में 26.60% अधिक है। और यह कोस्ट गार्ड को मॉडर्न बनाने की दिशा में मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत ही एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है।
All right, now take a look at what else is making news in India. A New Delhi court on Tuesday awarded life imprisonment to former lawmaker Sajjan Kumar in a murder case related to the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. Special Judge Kaveri Baveja pronounced the judgment on the Congress party member for the killing of Jaswant Singh and his son Tarun Deep on the 1st of November in 1984. A third-year BTech student at the Indian Institute of Technology, Patna, allegedly ended his life by jumping from the roof of a building on the campus in Patna's Bhita on Tuesday, the police said. Preparations for the Maha Shivratri celebrations are underway at Sadguru Jaggi Vasudev's Isha Yoga Center in Tamil Nadu's Coimbatore. The Hindu festival of Maha Shivratri will be celebrated across the world on the 26th of February. Gulmarg in India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir turned into a winter wonderland after a fresh snowfall that followed a prolonged dry spell. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. In Champions Trophy cricket, the Australia-South Africa match is abandoned after relentless rain in Rawalpindi. And Stefanos Tsitsipas gets off to a winning start at the Dubai Tennis Championships.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Right, take a look at what else is making news around the world. Days after Moscow held talks with the US, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov landed in Iran's capital Tehran on Tuesday for talks with Iranian officials. Lavrov met his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi to discuss regional and bilateral topics. Countries gathered in Rome on Tuesday for a second crack at figuring out how to generate $200 billion a year to help preserve the world's biodiversity and give a shot in the arm to global multilateral cooperation as the US draws back. The resumed COP16 talks will conclude on the 27th of February. A US national has been taken into police custody after her newborn baby was thrown out of a window of a hotel in Paris, the local prosecutor's office said on Tuesday. As the newborn did not survive the incident, authorities are investigating the crime as the homicide of a minor. The faithful gathered at St. Peter's Square and outside the hospital where Pope Francis was admitted. Tuesday saw some improvement in the Pope's health. An official said that he was eating normally and moving around. To sports news now. In Champions Trophy cricket, the Group B clash between Australia and South Africa at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium in Pakistan was washed out. The match was abandoned without any play because of persistent rain. South Africa came into the contest after a comfortable win over Afghanistan, while Australia completed the highest successful run chase in Champions Trophy history to beat England. Australia and South Africa were looking to continue their winning momentum and book a semi-final spot before rain played spoil sport. England faced an early setback in their Champions Trophy campaign as fast bowler Bryden Carse had been ruled out of the tournament because of a toe injury. The England and Wales Cricket Board confirmed that Carse will return to London. This injury concerns started during England's recent white ball series in India, forcing him to miss the final 2 ODIs. To replace Carse, England have added 20-year-old leg spinner Rehan Ahmed to their squad. England will take on Afghanistan in a must-win game in the Champions Trophy at Lahore's Gaddafi Stadium on Wednesday. A defeat would dent both the dreams of both teams of booking a semi-final berth in the tournament, as South Africa and Australia have already notched up 3 points each. Hashmatullah Shahidi said that Afghanistan will carry the confidence from their 2023 World Cup victory over England into their upcoming Group B clash. Meanwhile, England would be looking to bounce back from their defeat against Australia and keep their semi-final hopes alive. Turkish football club Galatasaray have accused Fenerbahce manager Jose Mourinho of making racist statements and said they will initiate criminal proceedings over his comments following their 0-0 Super League draw on Monday. It was not clear which statements Galatasaray were referring to. Speaking in the news conference after the Istanbul derby, Mourinho said the home bench had been jumping like monkeys. He also repeated his criticism of Turkish referees, saying it would have been a disaster to use an official from the country. Former Chelsea, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur manager Mourinho has previously been fined and suspended for his comments about Turkish match officials. To tennis now, Stefanos Tsitsipas got off to a winning start at the Dubai Tennis Championships with a win over Lorenzo Sonego. Fourth seed Tsitsipas beat his Italian opponent 7-6, 6-3 to advance to the round of 16. Tsitsipas will next face Russia's Karen Khachanov, who beat Dan Evans in their opening round. France's Giovanni Perichat, Spain's Roberto Bautista and Belgium's Zizou Bergs won their respective matches to advance to the round of 16. That's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code now on your screen to download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.